Hello there. Today, this is the PDF to Excel, and where we will be going over how to turn multiple reports like these into from PDFs into JSON files, which will look like these, which will then turn into Excel reports, which look like these, with your own customizations and your own ways of extracting all this data, where you can then create your graphs and charts based off how you want. Now, before we get started, to use this stuff, we are understanding that you hopefully have a basic level of scripting, so done a little bit of code. This is very simplified. This is created into a very simplified version. It is nice to have higher levels of coding to do more customized scripting of extracting this data. And it's also really nice to have knowledge on how to use AI to code to help you explain everything. And if you don't understand all the code in super high detail. And also assuming that you know scripting and coding. You also know how to use Microsoft Office and a computer. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that you have all the Python dependencies or libraries that we are here. So right now, you can see here, pip install PDF plumber and tkinter. So if we can just copy paste that, and you can open command prompt, you can either run Windows R and do CMD to open it, or you can simply just search it up in your Windows tab. Now, if I paste that command over here, pip install, make sure you have pip installed. This should automatically happen for anyone who runs on a Windows. And you can just press enter and simply wait for it to run. Now, after a few minutes or however so long, you should get a screen like this over here, or something of the similar way. Now, as you can see here, we installed PDF Plumber, but we couldn't find something for tkinter. Now, you don't have to worry about that because on most computers, this should already be installed with your Python. Also, for reference, make sure that you have Python to be installed on your computer. But assuming that you're taking this tutorial, I'm assuming that you have somewhat of a very basic knowledge of scripting or development when you're using this program. Also, one thing before we continue, make sure you have pip install pymupdf. So the command here would be right here, pip install pymupdf, and then you run that. Now for today's purposes, I've taken off the internet an example report provided to us by Intertech, I assume. Link to the example report can be found here in the video intro file subfolder. So here, let's just say, for example, this is a report. And let's just say we want to take data off of here. So for example, we have applicant and Samsung Electronics, and we want to get the address. So we want to pull that information off of here. Now, if you go to script template, script underscore template.py here, you can see here's the template for the script that you write. So basically, the rest of this is all code that you can look through if you're a coder. But if you're a simple just user, you can just see here, the only part we need to worry about this is extraction params, which is over here. Now, as you can see, this is, for example, this is a block for information that we want to extract. Now, if we open the PDF here, and let's just say we go to page 1. Now, I created a copy of that over here called script underscore demo. And now if you take a look here, so applicant and address. For example, we see here in our demo, let's name this first test report general info. That's going to be the name of our test report. And for the start keyword over here, so let's just say we want to take the applicant and the address. So we can write here applicant for the start keyword. So what will happen is, and let's just say for the end keyword, we want to take address. So it'll take the first 2 lines of these sentences. So we can put in here address. And let's put that horizontal margin out of 500. And now, if we want to run this, we can run the code within the code editor. So let's just say here, I want to run this code within code editor. It'll prompt you to enter path to a PDF file. This is the test report PDF. Let me copy that name. So if I take the name of that test report, make sure that's within the same file directory. This will help a lot. And we want to do test report.pdf. And just like that, we get to get our report back. So here's the JSON file that it created. Applicant not found on page 0. Oh, we can see here that it's also case sensitive. So make sure that you have case sensitive over here. So if we go back to the script demo and we change that up to applicant capitals, make sure we also make the address in capitals. And if we run it again, same here. And now if you look at the report here, you can see. So it'll label, as you can see, the applicant because there's a colon. So anything with a colon will automatically, in front of it, will automatically be converted into, should say, a key. And then the value will be what's after this. So for example, Samsung Electronics. So you can see here, this is the formatting of the JSON file. If you're a developer, I guess this would be important. If you're not, we will be moving on from this. But you can kind of see here is the general format. And now let's just say, and now you can do this on multiple times. So if you take a look at example, here is another one that I made, a demo for this page. So as you can see here, it also takes the general, we need to put applicant and we take all the way to report number. And that's going to be the general info. And now we can see here, second one, field name, product. So we have under product tests, we first look for sample description, which is right here. And then the end keyword would be test results, which would be right here. Page number, it will always start at 0. 0 is your first page because that's just how computer code works. End keyword occurrence, basically how many times can your end keyword occur until it finds the line that it wants to stop at, the detector. And now if you go down, so now as we can see here, page number. So because it says here page number 1, if we go back to report, it will go to the second page. And let's just say, for example, here, we start keyword tested by, and the notes right here, as we can see. And if we run this code right here, and we run it on the test report again, you'll see here, we have the report data right here. So as you can see, it'll go, so report number, and it'll go report number. Oh, and it also takes the page number and the date. Now this we'll have to fix up a little bit. But as you can see here, there are some other parameters. So if you go back to if we simply go back to the GitHub page, if we simply go back to the GitHub page, there are other parameters that we can change here. So if you scroll down, available extraction parameters. So for example, if we look at this report here, and you see here that we can see here on example, report number. Now, it doesn't have a colon behind it. So if we want to force it to have a colon, for example, in the data we extract, we can put, for example, take one of these, and one of these should have forced keywords. So list of keywords to add colon if missing. And it will tell you also make sure to make sure it's a list of data type. So you can see here, it'll tell you about everything. What is the type? It's an array or null. So if we copy this, forced keywords, and if we open this and we go back to our example script, so for example, report number, and now if it's not entered, so if we want to force that into a keyword, you can put colon, and then we put force keywords, and if we put a colon behind that, and because it's a list data type, we have to make it so it's a square bracket as it shows over here. It'll show this, it's a list square data type. And now within that array, because we want to force report number to be a key, so you can do colon here and report number. And now if make sure to leave a comma right behind each of these. And now if you run it again, and we take the test report and we put it in there. And now if we look back on the test report, you can see here, report number is now forced into a keyword instead, and the date is also separate. And as you can see here, the details will be accurate. So you'll see applicant, address, page, report number, and date all matched up under general info. Product tests, you'll see here, this is product test. We start from sample description right here, name, type of product, all the way down to test results. And yeah, same thing. So we also have a second page here, report notes. Now you can see here tested by Chano Kim and Ju-Yoon Lee, and notes will be here under right here. Now you see it'll only take the first page. Now let's just say, for example, we want to visualize what we want to do. That's where we take preview underscore main.py. If you run this code without debugging, and it'll show up a little GUI that we can use right here. So first we have to open the PDF. So if you select the PDF, find the file. So the test report is right here. Open the file, and now load parameters. We can find, so the one that we were using just now was script underscore demo complete. And now if we click on generate the boxes and zoom out a bit, you can kind of see these are where it takes the, what do you call it? It takes the extraction. You can see where it covers. And now if we want to go to the second page, you can also see this is the information where it covers. All using this visualizer, it'll help you generate your extraction parameters. And now let's say, for example, you have multiple test reports. So in here, I clone test report 5 times, and you can see here. So we want to take these test reports, and we don't want to hand do all these test reports and create all these JSONs. So what we're going to do, and we want to run the main.py, which is what we use for here. Now this is for, we are going to start another instance here. And now you can see, it'll give you everything that you need. Input directory, basically where's the folder of files that you want. So we name this PDF to Excel. Where do you want to output it? We're going to output it within the same directory. By the way, when I refer to directory, it means folder for those of you who are not aware. Now, do we want to create a subfolder where we want to put all the files under? Process files, we can name it right here. If we want to search for keywords, for example, so let's just say we only want to look for a file called test report. So we can put here test and then report to isolate it. And now processor script, which was the one that we were just using, script demo complete. And over here, if you want to enable debug logs, this is more for developers. This will help you show like the processing of the whole code in the background with its logic. Now, we're not going to be using this for now. Now we're going to enable debug log just to show a very example. And now if we scan the directory, you can see we found all the test report copies. Now we can select all, and now we can start processing the selected files. As we can see here, it'll show in the processing log, we successfully processed 5 of 5 files. And just like that, if we close this and we go back in here, we can find a new folder called process files. And it'll show you all the different test reports or JSONs. Now that you have this little subfolder, we want to, let's just say you want to convert it into Excel, because Excel is a much easier version to use and you don't like using code as much. So if you go in here, open the JSON to Excel folder, you can find Excel underscore main.py. Now before we continue in this video here, just make sure to run pip install open pyxl, as I did not mention it early in the video, but if you copy and pasted it from the direct documentation, you should already have this library done. Now if we continue here into Excel underscore main.py, run without debugging, and now you can see here, you can select the JSON files directory. So we're going to take the JSON files where we put it in. So if we go here, we take our process files folder, and let's just say we want to output it into PDF to, now we're going to output it in here. Output file name, we're going to make it, now let's just name it report. So we can just name it report, and that'll come out as the Excel file. Filter text to remove. So let's just say we have test report in here many times, and we don't want to know about that. So we can take test report, and now that won't show up. It will only show up the file or name. And now here you also have some extra things that you can do with it. Remove units from values. Now, if you want to, now here, if you look into a file and you look into components here, now if you go into utils and you go into text filters underscore right here, you can find rejects of all the different text filters. So if it's milliseconds, seconds, volts, millivolts, amps, milliamps, this is just a whole list here. And if you want to put into ChatGPT or anything, add to the list of rejects patterns, basically of things that you want to look for unit measurements that you want to remove. So for example here, let's just say if you want to remove the no CF bump, you can add here into the rejects. So if we control C that, and we want to remove that unit, so you can just put in here R quotation marks and then copy and paste that in there. And just like that, no CF and bump, if it reads that, it should be removed. Now, we would unfortunately have to, now, we will be demonstrating that after, replace commas with periods. So sometimes you'll have dates that will come in as commas or periods. As you can see here, January 19th, comma, 2022. Now we don't, now we want this to display as a date of just January 19th, dot 22. It'll do that. And search in subdirectories, basically it'll go into extra subfolders within your folder that you're looking for, but we're not going to enable that for this demonstration. Now if we process the JSON files, it will create the Excel file. And now as you can see here, we have a report called Excel file. And if we open it up right here, now if I go into my folder and I find where I put everything, you can see the report is right here as an Excel file. And just like that, you can open the Excel file. So you can see the file name, copy 2, copy 3, copy 4, copy. As you can see, if we look back to the files that we have here, you can see test report 2, test report 3, test report. It removed that all from there because from the Excel file, we don't want the test report, filter text to remove. And now you can see the address is all put in here, applicants are all put in here, and dates all made. Product tests, you'll see the same case right here. And report notes, you can see the same case right here. Now you can see that some of the, what do you call it? You can see that some of the formatting is a bit off because all reports will have different funky formatting. Now, if you do want to change up these formattings, so we do have something, an example that we created in here to fix up those formatting. If you go in your JSON to Excel, components, utils, and business rules, you can see that here is business rules. Here are some business rules that you can use to demonstrate. So here's an example of some business rules. Now, you will have to read through this yourself, and it will list in there some of the coding. If you do have a hard time with trying to understand this code, I do suggest using AI to help you understand this code. But these will help you to write business rule. But this is where you want to put in things that will specifically change your formatting, such as, let's just say, for example, we go back to general info, and for example, we want to take one out. You see here, pages 105. We can always just change it and set a rule that, hey, page 1, and then remove of 5 part if it falls under page. That's a business rule that we will put in there. And yeah. And now here, now this is the AI I prefer to use, Claude.ai. You can use GPT or Gemini or whatever AI you would like to use. And I've uploaded my business rules.py. And now for demonstration, let's just say we want to say, hey, can you add into the rules that that if we have a field, and if that field is called, let's say, for example, page, called page, make sure that's capital sensitive, case sensitive, and it is, and it has a value of 1 of 5, we change it to 1/5. And if you feed it the AI, it'll take a moment to generate the script for you. And here we go. As you can see, it gives you all the code. Well, it gives you the function for a code that you want to add in there for business rules. Now, as you can see here, here is the code. And now if I want to copy this, I can select all of it. The copy button is not showing up here. Or we can take this code. And this is the function that AI will usually give you. Now, GPT models, you'll probably only get a function code. And now if we go here, we can just add it anywhere under business rules. Static method, right there. Sometimes you will need to fix up the formatting of this. And now if we want to go here, and if you go to the bottom here, there should be a transform data rule. Now you also have to make sure that you add in this. So result equals business rules dot whatever we named it. So as we can see here, we named that function transform underscore page field. And if we go back here and we put that in, transform underscore page field, and it should have around the same parameters, result debug. Or if you go back to the AI, it will also give you, as you can see, transform key, transform page field. Same thing, apply the transform page field transformation right here. AI will tell you to do the same thing. And as you can see here, it will explain to you how the business rule works. It says here it uses regular expression or regex, as I like to call it. And now if we close this, and if we run the same code again with Excel main, run without debugging real quick, take the JSON directory, same thing. And now if we fast forward here, I put in all the same things, but this time we're renaming it to report 2. And now we can process the JSON files. And if we look back here, into here, we can find we've created a report 2. And from this report 2, if we give it a quick moment, depending on how fast your computer is, it might take a bit slower. And now you can see here, now with our new implemented business rule, it now puts page 1 out of 5. And just like that, you can create your custom report extractor from PDF to JSON to Excel. And if you have any questions, you can always look through in the documentation. If I go back to the GitHub that I have open here, and we report here, you can see that, and we go back to a folder, you can see that I created README. You can look through this whole thing. It will give you a general explanation about how everything works through. If you want to go into the JSON to Excel, it also has its own readme.md. And there should be a bunch of documentation lying around everywhere. I will be continuing to work on this project over as required. And yeah, I hope this tutorial helped you today with how you process or how you go from these reports like these to creating reports like these. Thank you very much and have a nice day.